I'm Alex Coffman, and I am a managing partner here at Teifke Real Estate. I run the brokerage. I'm a lot of hands-on operations, and while Matt is out networking and bringing in leads and doing business development collectively, but mostly I put things in place to run the team and run the day-to-day operations. I grew up here in Round Rock, Texas. So growing up was great. Had a lot of friends. Had a great childhood. Grew up in a good family. Growing up was really good. I did play sports until 8th grade year. I got kicked off the football team, and then I stopped playing sports at that point. I played football, basketball, baseball. I guess you could say I played more baseball growing up. I enjoyed hitting people, and I wasn't afraid to hit people. I really loved that aspect of football, playing rover. I have a younger sister. I honestly don't remember a whole lot of my childhood and growing up. I remember pieces here and there. I had a great childhood. When I got into middle school, I started going down the wrong path in life. And that's really where a lot of memory kind of stops for me, from about 13, 14 years old till about 21. As soon as I got kicked off that football team, I just kind of solidified my decision. We were kids experimenting stuff. A lot of them I still consider really great friends to this day. A lot of them aren't doing too great right now. But I wouldn't say that it was who I was hanging out with was the issue. It was, I started getting into drugs and alcohol when I was 12 years old, and just dove heavily into it and didn't stop until I was 21. I don't know how I graduated high school. I barely went to class. I was really good with people, so I could make friends with teachers, which helped me out a lot, I believe, but I don't ever remember studying for anything in high school. If I did homework, I'm sure I copied it from whoever would let me copy it, or didn't know I was copying it. And really, all I did was, party, you could say, and from 13 until 21. And that was all I did every day. It's hard to hide that. And I got arrested when I was 16 years old. I was on probation in high school for possession of marijuana. So yeah, they definitely knew. And they, my parents are great parents, and they did their absolute best. I just wasn't the best son, and really ultimately did what I wanted to do, regardless of how they tried to help. So you'll probably laugh at this. This is how delusional I was. Is I thought I was going to become, a millionaire selling weed. And that was, that's what I thought about in high school. Becoming an engineer, doing something like that, going to college. These were never things that could grab a hold of my attention. And they weren't things that I dreamed about, like my sister, for example, wanted to be a nurse since she was a freshman in high school or work in the medical field. I wanted to grow weed, smoke weed, and sell weed, and those were my ambitions when I was younger. For me, it was, it started out as fun, right? And then it slowly became a necessity, and then it slowly became all the drugs and all the alcohol. After a while, they stopped working, and you have to have them in your system to not go through withdrawals, just to get out of bed, just to function. It become, it's like eating food. You have to eat food. It was like I had to do drugs to function. And so, yeah, it absolutely started out as fun. When I was 12, 13 years old, that's what it was. But I was never running from something. I wasn't abused. I didn't have a bad childhood. I didn't have some traumatic experience. I just started doing them as fun and never stopped. As the progression gets worse, it's not fun anymore. and it gets pretty, at that point it gets pretty miserable, and you feel pretty helpless because you're using drugs and alcohol essentially against your own will. And so there were thousands of times that I wanted to stop. I've been arrested 4 times, been kicked out of my family's house, had, ruined relationships, lost jobs. There were plenty of external consequences that made me step back and take a look at what I was doing. But ultimately, internally, the consequences were much worse than the external. And I knew that I was meant for bigger and better things than what I was doing, And so there were thousands of times that I wanted to quit, and I would make that decision. Not only would I promise whoever, family, whoever was around me, that I was done, I'm not doing this anymore, but internally too, I would promise myself, I'm stopping this. I'm gonna go to college. I'm gonna get a legal job. I'm gonna turn my life around, and I could just never get there. It would be 3 days of being sober, or a week, or whatever it was. If I was in jail for a period of time, I would make that decision in there, and then I would get out, and I would convince myself that it wasn't as bad as I was making it seem, and I could, just drink like everybody else could, or whatever it was, and I wouldn't ruin my life again. And it never worked. And so I would start back on that road again, and I would go down that cycle of like, I'm done, I'm never doing it again, I'm going to turn my life around, whatever I promised myself. I would be sober for a small period of time. I would convince myself that it wasn't that bad, I could do just a little bit, and then as soon as I put it in my body, I was off to the races again. And then it would over and over and over and over and over again, until the last time I got arrested for the last time. Long story short, I was going to sell some weed actually, and I fell asleep at the wheel. It was like midnight on I-35, and all I remember is, waking up to a big boom. Smoke's coming up from the car. I'm scrambling, trying to like hide whatever I had. I don't know where I'm at, how I got here, what just happened. I obviously realized I just got in a car wreck. I'm by myself. It was really kind of a miracle. I didn't have one scratch on me. I mean, my car was completely totaled. It was crumbled up in the front, It was like almost about to catch on fire. I don't know a whole lot about that night, but the person I hit did not get hurt at all. And so that was just a miracle. And so, fire trucks, tow trucks, police officers come. I think I fell asleep during the sobriety test, I wasn't drinking alcohol. I had taken a lot of pills that day, and I was actually prescribed pills as well. So, when they asked if I had, done drugs or alcohol, I always would say, no, I don't do drugs or alcohol. But I did tell them I was prescribed pills, but they gave me a sobriety test. I think I'm pretty positive I fell asleep during the sobriety test. However, I didn't get charged with the DWI. I didn't get charged with the DUI, but I did get charged with another possession of marijuana. And so I went into Williamson County jail visit number 4 maybe, and call my family again, to try and bail me out. Called my grandmother. They were done a long time ago. Called my mom, called my dad. Dad doesn't answer. Mom, nobody answers. My sister's going off to college. This is like her. She just graduated. She's getting into A&M. Everybody's helping her move into her apartment at A&M. And Alex is in Williamson County Jail again. I really wanted to be sober. I did. Like I said, I just kept getting caught in that cycle. I wasn't even getting high anymore. It was just using the drugs to not go through withdrawals. And I was miserable at that point. My mom told me this time, she said, Alex, we're not bailing you out of jail this time. And if you want to be a part of this family, you need to change your life. You need to go get help. And if you choose to not go get help, you're not going to be a part of this family. You know, like, don't call your grandparents, don't call your step-parents, don't call me or your dad, don't talk to your sister, don't come around here. You're no longer welcome or a part of this family if you don't change your life. And so I was really glad to, in the moment, I was not excited to hear that. But it was a huge relief because I did want to change my life. This was the time that not only would I have to do it, but I was essentially kind of forced to do it. And so, you know, everything's out of the bag now, right? Not like it wasn't before, but, you know, now everybody is pushing towards getting help as the only option. There are no other options, you know, not moving back in with us, going to get a job like I've done before. So I was somewhat relieved. I was very scared, but that was the last time, and I stayed in Williamson. They didn't bail me out. I stayed in Williamson County Jail for, you know, a little less than a month for the possession of marijuana, and got time served. And then I got out, and I went into a facility and got some help. I've always been an entrepreneur. You know, the times we described previously were just illegal ways. And so, you know, after I had turned the direction in my life and turned things around, and, you know, I'm living on completely different morals and values than I was previously at this point. And so legally was the only way to approach entrepreneurship. Man, ever since I got sober, and, you know, I would just drive around. Whenever we were driving around, I didn't have a car, so I totaled my car. I had lost my license at this point, but people I was with, we'd be driving around to do whatever, and I would just look at businesses. I would look at, you know, office buildings. I would look at this, I would look at that, and I would just, you know, think about ways that I could operate business for myself legally. And I mean, I was riding my bicycle to Firehouse Subs at 21 years old, sleeping on the top bunk of a bunk bed, making $8 an hour, just thinking about this, and knowing that as soon as the opportunity presented itself, I would take a hold of it. And I was saving my money, you know, I was doing the right things, and I knew that God would take care of me if I continued to do the right things. You know, so that's what I did for like 3 years. Worked at Firehouse Subs, moved back to Austin, worked at a country club, and I would just study businesses, you know, study real estate, study the stock market, read CNBC, read all the, you know, I would study stocks, I would study businesses. So I've always loved real estate. Obviously, I've known that a lot of wealthy people own real estate, and wealth can be made through real estate. I met Matt when I was probably 8 years old, but I was more friends with Sam, Matt's younger brother, and then obviously we would hang out with Matt and his friends and such. Matt's mom is also like my second mother, and have always just been around their house and everything. So after I got sober, you know, I ended up opening a couple businesses, one with another partner of mine. You know, what we did was we focused on doing interventions, coaching, transports, and things like that, helping out families and addicts and alcoholics who are suffering. I also opened up a sober living house, and, you know, through this period of time, Matt and I reconnected, talking about stocks and business in general and finance and everything, and just kind of continued that, right? And we started investing in real estate together, you know, for the last 3-4 years or so, however long it's been. And so really we've been working full-time in real estate together for 3-4 years. You know, I just wasn't a part of Teifke Real Estate. And so recently that, you know, Matt presented me with that opportunity to join Tree. So just in general, what I've learned that helps me out in whatever I'm doing is the ability to, if I don't know something or don't understand something, to teach myself and figure it out. And hard work as well. You know, those two things, hard work teaching myself. If I don't know something, going out, figuring it out. Even if I don't know what I'm doing, just doing it until I do figure it out. Also treating people right, being a good person, treating others the way I would like to be treated, being of service. These things, have helped me just in general in whatever business I'm operating in. So I apply all of these to Teifke Real Estate today. So Matt and I really care about our agents, our clients, anybody we're doing business with, whether you're not an agent, whether you're not a client. What we try and do is try and help people, provide value, and do whatever we possibly can to help you out. And we are growing because of that. And people are attracted to us due to the fact that our goal is, there's no ulterior motive. We're here to help, and that really is our only goal, is to teach you what we know, to partner with you, to learn things together, share our experience, help you avoid mistakes. Our goal is to help you achieve your goals. So one piece of advice I would offer to a young entrepreneur, someone starting their own business, a new agent, is to learn to fall in love with the process and of learning and of growing and of building something, and to get excited about it. And if you can do that, and you can not get discouraged when things aren't going your way, and you can have tenacity to continue moving forward, even if you try 5 different routes and none of them work out, when you try that 6th, it may be the one. And so if you can learn to fall in love with the process of figuring it out, you're going to be successful. I'm Coffman, and this is Teifke Real Estate.